Hi, I'm Dr. Neil Schultz. This is Viewer Question Week at both BeautyRx and Derm TV. So welcome to the April 2013 BeautyRx Live, where on live streaming video, I'll answer your questions about BeautyRx skincare products as well as any related skincare issues. BeautyRx skincare products are the same patient-proven and award-winning products that have given my patients more beautiful, healthier, and younger-looking skin for over a decade. They address the ageless issues of color and texture, as well, of course, as lines and wrinkles. And they do it by stressing the importance of 3 daily essential skincare ingredients: sunscreen, exfoliants, and antioxidants. And now, because BeautyRx products are available to the public instead of just to my patients in my office, we have BeautyRx Live, so anybody using these products or having skincare issues can access me, ask me questions. So without further ado, let me remind you that if you have a question, go to BeautyRxLive.com and just put your question in the chat box, and I'll get to as many of those questions tonight as I can. The first question comes from Joan. I've been watching your episodes and I understand why glycolic is great. However, can I use salicylic acid as well? I'd love to get the benefits of both. Joan, sure you can. They're both very good exfoliants. I believe that glycolic is a little more versatile, a little more effective, but there's no reason why you can't use salicylic at the same time that you're using glycolic, meaning not at the same moment, but certainly there are products that have glycolic and salicylic as ingredients within the same product. And if you're going to use glycolic and salicylic, I would recommend using salicylic as a spot treatment, as your exfoliant, and using glycolic as the base product that you use on your entire face. And again, I recommend using your exfoliants at bedtime as the first product you apply after you've used your cleanser and toner to prep your skin. Then I suggest using your glycolic product, and you can use salicylic as a spot treatment for acne lesions. Most of the salicylics that are available over the counter don't have quite enough strength without prescription to give you effective exfoliation for facial rejuvenation, but certainly for acne, they're great products. Next question comes from Beth. Is it better to use soap or body wash in the shower? Well, Beth, I guess it depends where you're using it. Quite frankly, I don't know that there's really a very big difference in soap and body wash for what you want to accomplish, which is removal of skin oils that have entrapped dirt, debris, air pollution, and things like that, or even dead cells. So whichever feels better to you is just fine. Just remember, when you're using any type of product on your face, make sure that it's appropriate for your oil and water skin type, whether it's normal, oily, acne-prone, combination, or dry skin. We have a question from a guest. Hello, Mr. Guest. I am currently using Accutane and it's working really well, but I'm experiencing a lot of discoloration in my face. Is there anything I can do to prevent this discoloration? Thanks a lot. Well, the discoloration that you're experiencing can either be red or browns. The browns are a normal reaction to previous pimples that occur. And anytime you have an injury to the skin tries to protect itself by turning brown. So if browns are the issue that you're having, of course, there are treatments for the browns, both exfoliation and bleaches. But when the Accutane kicks in and you stop having new cysts that are causing the brown, that's really going to be the most effective way to prevent it. If the discoloration you're talking about is the redness that you get after a blemish goes away, there are no topical skincare products that effectively remove redness. You can cover it, but that effectively remove it without the potential of the side effects of cortisone. And actually, a topical skincare product that actually does remove redness is the next hurrah in topical skincare therapy, and we've been looking forward to it for many years, but it's just not there. If you have reds, the reds can be covered. They can be removed with laser treatments, but there aren't any at-home products that really are going to address the reds. So whether your discoloration from your pimples is reds or browns, they're going to get better. Just give them some time. We have a question from Lily, and again, I'm Dr. Neil Schultz. This is live streaming video, BeautyRx Live for April 2013. If you have a question, please go to BeautyRxLive.com, go to the chat box, and just put in your question, and I will get to as many questions tonight as I can. Coming back to Lily's question, you talk about daily skin exfoliation and sunblock use. Our face will always be dramatically lighter than our body, won't it? Is there any way around this? Lily, that's a great question. But actually, the sunblock should be used any place that is sun exposed, because places that are sun exposed, of course, are going to turn darker. Places that aren't sun exposed all year round, like your body, aren't going to have the impetus to make additional melanin pigment, and so they're not going to turn darker. So you won't have the color mismatch. In terms of exfoliation, the exfoliation is only going to lighten the darkened areas. It's not going to lighten the normal areas. And since your face tends to be darker than the rest of your body, where you're using your exfoliants, what you're really doing between sunscreen and exfoliants is trying to prevent additional darkness and remove darkness that's occurred to bring you back to baseline, which would then match the rest of your body. So actually, both of these things are going to get you better matched and blended rather than a disparity between two different areas. Nora asks, "Hi, Dr. Schultz. I always seem to have at least one pimple or two on my cheeks every month, and it leaves a scar. What should I use? My skin is oily. And how to get rid of bags under the eyes? I'm only 23. Well, we have two different questions from Nora. Number one, she obviously has a relationship between her breakouts and her menstrual cycle, which is not unusual since most acne breakouts are mediated by hormone fluxes or changes in your hormones. So she's getting perimenstrual breakouts, whether they are before her period, during her period, after period, but they're probably coming at the same time with respect to her cycle. And the scars that it's leaving, I have a feeling that what Nora means is that it's leaving stains. Because scars really are either depressions below the level of the skin or bumps above the level of the skin. And most acne lesions, even if they're severe cysts, it takes them a long time to create a scar. But they do often leave red discoloration, and as we mentioned before, brown discoloration. So for the reds, again, you're just going to have to be patient. For the brown discolorations, exfoliants, which will also help reduce breakouts, as well as bleaches. And that is the best way, that's the best way that you can help fix those discolorations afterwards. In terms of, and of course, you're telling me that your skin is oily. You can't have acne lesions unless you have oily skin. And one other thing I want to mention is that in terms of the bags under your eyes at the age of 23, if you do have them, then they're probably hereditary. And there are a bunch of things that can be done for that, but not with skincare products. And we'll come back to that in a Derm TV episode. I have a question from Mingle, and good evening, Mingle. Hi, Doc. I'd like to try your products, mainly your vitamin C. My concerns are hyperpigmentation and anti-aging. I have oily combination skin, with my forehead is really dry, and I already use every night glycolic acid 10%. What other product do you recommend from your line for me to use? I'm buying your products tomorrow. What will you recommend? Well, if you have oily skin, oily combination skin, certainly I would recommend balancing cleanser, but to make sure you don't get too dried out, I would recommend using the clarifying toner because we want to create a better balance between your oil and water. And you've already told me that you're a little bit dry up on your forehead. For the dryness, we use a water-based, oil-free moisturizer, light rehydrating lotion. The glycolic acid 10%, if it's my product, it's either a lotion or the pads. The BeautyRx Advanced Exfoliating Therapy pads are a 10% product, and they're used on alternate nights to help remove the dead cells that contribute to the clogs in your pores. And as a corollary benefit, they also increase the radiance and lucency of the skin that's not affected by acne. So you really get a double benefit from the glycolic exfoliation. While these products are available online anytime, you really want to make sure that when you get these products, that you use them regularly. Whether it's my products, BeautyRx, or anybody else's products, you need a regular routine. You need to do the same thing every day. So you want to use a cleanser and a toner, which is why I mentioned the balancing cleanser and clarifying toner, to prepare your skin for the active ingredients, whether the active ingredients are exfoliants, antioxidants, or even just spot pimple medicines. In terms of antioxidants, the protective vitamin C serum from BeautyRx has tetrahexyldecyl ascorbate as well as methylsilanol ascorbate, which I think are the two best active ingredients for vitamin C, which has the added benefit, besides for anti-aging, it also, of course, helps prevent additional brown pigmentation from previous acne spots. So by all means, try these products. I promise you'll like them. And if you don't, of course, with all BeautyRx products, there's a 100% no questions asked, money back guarantee. Again, this is the April edition of BeautyRx Live. If you have a question, go to BeautyRxLive.com. I'm Dr. Neil Schultz. Put your question in the chat box, and I'll be happy to get to as many questions tonight as I can. If you see me looking away from the camera from time to time, I'm looking for new questions. I'm looking for comments from the director, and I'm just making sure that everything is flowing as it should. So, Elaine, let me look at your question. I have little bumps that look like little white dots underneath my eyes, almost looks like chicken skin. Can you tell me what causes these and what can cure them so I can get rid of them? Thank you so much. Elaine, these are probably syringomas. Syringomas are these not so cute little white dome-shaped bumps that usually occur on the lower lid under the eye, and they occur in clusters and in groups, and they actually are little benign, not dangerous, tumors of the sweat duct. That's the duct that takes your sweat from the sweat gland all the way up through the skin out to the surface of your skin. So that sweat duct, when it makes too many cells, those cells accumulate and you form this little bump that sits on top of the skin, and these are the little white bumps you see. These syringomas, benign, not dangerous, but cosmetically impactful little tumors, there's no medical treatment for them. They can only be treated surgically. And there are different ways to do that with electrocautery and with certain acids, particularly bichloroacetic acid. And as a matter of fact, I just had an interview on Bottom Line magazine, and on their online edition, that we're going to have a whole article this week on the treatment of syringomas, so you might want to take a look at that. It's bottomline.com, and look for the article by Dr. Schultz on syringomas. Nicole asks, is it okay to use hydroquinone while on Accutane? Nicole, sure it is. There's no conflict there. The hydroquinone, of course, is just a surface bleach, and it doesn't have any conflict with your Accutane. I believe that Accutane is one of the miracle drugs of the 20th century, and good luck with your Accutane. I'm sure you'll be very pleased with the results. The hydroquinone will be helpful for helping to reduce some of the extra brown that some of your cysts caused. Allie asks, what products should I take to the gym with me? Allie, that is a great question. The products that are most important to take to the gym are a cleanser or a toner. Let me explain. The most important time of the day to clean your skin is before you exercise, before you're going to sweat. The reason is, in the course of the day, you accumulate oils on your skin. The oils trap dirt, debris, air pollution, and of course you have your usual complement of dead cells. If you don't remove all of that junk before you exercise, while you're exercising, I hope you're sweating. And while you're sweating, you keep wiping away that sweat. Whether you're using the back of your hand or a towel, you are rubbing the skin, and you are driving any of the foreign material that you didn't remove before you started to exercise. You're driving all that debris into your skin and into your pores, contributing towards blockage of the pores, breakouts, and dull skin. So the most important time of the day to cleanse your skin is before you exercise. So the most important thing to take to the gym is a cleanser and or a toner. A toner you can use without going to the sink, just on a thin cotton pad to help wipe off all of the debris I'm talking about. Obviously, if you use a cleanser first and then your toner, you'll be better prepared. But at least use a toner pad to wipe off all of that debris before you start to exercise. And after you exercise, if you've already cleaned your skin, what have you made on your skin? Sweat. Sweat is just salt, is basically salt, urea, and water. You don't even need to wash that off. You can just pat that off or rinse it off with water and you're done. So this is April BeautyRx Live. I'm Dr. Neil Schultz. Please, if you have a question, go to BeautyRxLive.com, use the chat box, and I'll be happy to answer your question as I'm doing for Mike right now. I know that you say we should change products with a change in weather or season. However, is this really necessary? I'm a 28-year-old guy. Mike, as a 28-year-old guy, you, whether you know it or not, there's a good chance you have oily skin because a 28-year-old guy has what we hope is a very nice complement of male hormones consisting of testosterone, which is what stimulates oil glands to produce lots of oil, much more than women have. Also causes a somewhat thickening of your skin. But the point here, Mike, is that if you don't use lighter products in the summertime, you could get blockage. When I say lighter products, I'm talking about lighter vehicles. You want to use, of course, you still want to use cleansers and toners to help remove all of the excess oil that your normal male hormone is making your oil gland make. But if you're using sunscreen, I hope. If you're using exfoliants, I hope. Antioxidants, you want to shift to vehicles that are very light, water-based, or even alcohol or gel-based in the summertime. But in the wintertime, when the air is much colder and drier and there's much more evaporation of your own moisture, you don't want to get dried out while you're removing your oil. And the way you don't get dried out is by using vehicles that have a little bit more viscosity, more humectants, more moisturizers, and that's going to wind up taking you to serums and creams and things like that. So there is a reason why even guys need to change their vehicles on a seasonal adjusted basis. Now, you don't need 4 different products for 4 different seasons. You really need 2 different vehicles, one for the spring and summer and one for the fall and winter. Barbara asks, "Hi, Dr. Schultz. I saw your recent episode on amusing user comments. Have you actually answered any of them?" Barbara, that was a great question. Most of the amusing comments we don't answer because we don't want to in any way belittle or embarrass the person who has asked those comedic or amusing questions. But it does put a smile on my face. It's all part of why we do Derm TV. It has to do with the interaction with our community. And our community is great. They ask wonderful questions. Many of the questions are the basis of which additional episodes come from. But the point is, we're very grateful for all of the people who are part of our community, for all of their comments, all of their questions. The ones that make me scratch my head as well as the ones that put smiles on my face. So thank you for noting that. And we've started collecting our next batch already of interesting, comedic, and amusing comments. Thank you very much. I have another question from Mingle. I've used many sunblocks, but my melasma is so heavy that no sunblock, hat, or anything seems to work. I reapply every 2 hours. I use titanium dioxide, zinc oxide based, and the percentages are really high. In summer, I feel like vampire because I am afraid to get more melasma. Should I cut the use of glycolic acid at nights during the summer? I don't see, Mingle, how glycolic figures into your exquisitely sensitive melanocytes that are reacting to light and causing your melasma. One of the questions that I've always had about people who have such exquisitely sensitive skin is the melasma in part triggered not only by ultraviolet light, which your zinc and titanium sunscreen will block, but is it also perhaps triggered by visible light? And visible light, of course, is where the issue of becoming a vampire comes from, because during the day there's always visible light? We don't have the answer to this yet, but I certainly understand your concern because from what you're telling me, you're using a complete chem-free block on a regular basis. I would like to suggest that you try on a regular basis using the BeautyRx Chem-Free Solar Protection Cream, which is an SPF of 30. But if you use it regularly, and don't forget 30 gives you over 95% protection. If you use it regularly, because of the combination within the same product of zinc and titanium, I think that you will get effective protection from all the ultraviolet, and it may even give you some protection from some visible light because it is such an effective block. So my suggestion is to give that a try, and I understand why you are so frustrated because there are people who have such exquisitely sensitive melanocytes that they seem to react to almost anything. We have a question from Nina, and just give me one moment to pick up these comments. Hi, Nina. Nina asks, I use sunscreen every day, but it always shows up looking oily on my skin. So I use an oil-absorbing sheet right after I apply the sunscreen. Am I taking away part of the sunscreen when I'm blotting it? Probably not, Nina, because it's really the layer of skin, the layer of sunscreen. I hope everybody has a layer of skin. Layer of sunscreen that is directly in contact with your skin that's helping you. But I have an alternative question, which is, if it's looking that way immediately, then either your skin hasn't been prepared adequately, you haven't removed enough oil before you put your sunscreen on, or the sunscreen that you're using is not appropriate for the amount of oil you have in your skin, and maybe you need something in a lighter vehicle, a gel vehicle, an alcohol vehicle. But there seems to be a mismatch here because you really shouldn't be having that layering effect where you can actually make your skin look more oily or shiny. So I'm going to suggest that you make sure that you're using a good oil-removing cleanser and toner before you put your sunscreen on, and make sure your sunscreen is appropriate for oily skin, and make sure, and this may sound like a strange suggestion, make sure you're not putting too much on. I find that a lot of people who use chem-free sunscreens and use as much of the chem-free as they do of regular sunscreens, I find that some of them wind up putting a little bit too much on, and it's just too thick of a coating. It doesn't feel right, it doesn't look right, and one thing's for sure, you have to love your skincare products, because if you're going to use them regularly, you've got to love the way they look and the way they feel. Amrose asks, I have dark knees and just can't figure out how to lighten them. What would you do? And actually, that was Amira. Amira, dark knees I sometimes call toddler knees because they occur in moms who have toddlers. And as the toddlers are learning to walk, mom is on the floor right behind them on her knees. And the more you rub your knees, the thicker they get. And the thicker they get, the darker the skin gets. So whether you have toddler knees or don't even have a toddler, the answer here is a glycolic exfoliant to help remove those extra layers of dead cells that have accumulated pigment, and of course a bleach. For your knees, I would probably suggest the BeautyRx Maximum Exfoliating Therapy Cream or Gel, which is a 15% active glycolic, and I would probably also recommend a bleach which helps to reduce the amount of melanin that you're making. BeautyRx hydroquinone-free brightening complex is appropriate, as are many over-the-counter hydroquinone 2% products. I have a question here from Tara. Thank you, Tara. And this actually is going to be our last question for tonight. Hi, Dr. Schultz. I had a scooter accident in January and got scratches on my face. The injured skin is now healed but looks darker than any other part of my facial skin. How do I deal with it? Tara, what you're describing is a normal reaction of the skin to the injury. It's a normal increase in your melanocytes, making more melanin, giving you those brown marks where you had your injury. So there are 3 things you need to do to make this better. Number 1, because the sun can make more pigment faster than all of our products can remove it, you've got to make sure you're using an adequate sunscreen every day, rain or shine. And for these types of problems, I usually recommend the chem-free sunscreens. Number 2, you need to use a bleach to stop your overactive melanocytes from making more melanin. BeautyRx Brightening Complex, or as we just mentioned, over-the-counter 2% hydroquinone products. And lastly, you need to remove the extra layers of dead cells that already have too much brown in them. And the way you do that, of course, is with exfoliation. For these areas which are on your face, depending on your oil and water skin type, I would recommend a BeautyRx either daily exfoliating therapy serum for oily, acne-prone, or combination skin, or the BeautyRx daily exfoliating therapy cream, which is for dry, sensitive, and normal skin. And of course, both of these are 8% glycolic products. It will take a month to 6 weeks to see the results you want, but I'll bet you get there. So, again, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight to the April 2013 BeautyRx Live. I've enjoyed this. Great questions as always. And don't forget that tomorrow on Derm TV, we will conclude Viewer Question Week for April 2013. Thanks for being with us tonight, and we'll see you next month. Thanks. I'm Dr. Neil Schultz.